But where that longbeard was absolutely wild. That bird was coming out of a tree on a mountain laurel face, and I'm guessing he was just super pressured. There was like probably a pocket maybe the size of your living room here, and he would just fly down into that, and he would sit there and just gobble, and you could not get to him. And we went back and we hunted that turkey for like 3 or 4 days. I don't know how to get to this freaking thing. Like, I mean,
you're moving through mountain laurel.
Like, we're not getting there. Quiet. And he would just sit there and gobble. Just boop. It was just a little opening in mountain laurel.
I was like, well, if I throw a mic on, then I can help others the way that these people have all helped me.
Born in the heart of the Pennsylvania deer camp, with the help of experts, friends, and local legends, we bring you valuable knowledge and powerful stories for your hunting adventures. Welcome to the East Meets West Hunt Podcast with your host, Beau Martonik.
All right, we're live. Welcome back to another episode of the East Meets West Hunt Podcast. And I've got in my house, I want to say in the studio, but I don't really have a studio. So in my house, I got John Lewis and Cody McIntyre. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This worked out pretty dang good.
It did. So these guys are from Just Hunt Club. John has been on the podcast before. It's been probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, we hooked up when Brett and I were out here. Were we hunting or scouting?
You were scouting in the summertime.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And Brett's been on. He was on last year, I think. Since then and everything. But it was funny. I was like, reached out to you and I was like, hey, let's do a turkey podcast. And you're like, well, hey, I'm going to be in your area. How close are you to X? Beep. How close are you to beep? And I'm like, I'm beep. And then you're like, all right, let's meet up.
Far.
Yeah. So you guys were scouting today and then just came to hang out. Yeah. So it actually worked out really well. And Cody, I met you last year at the New York Hunt Stock.
Yeah.
Was that when I met you or did I meet you before that?
That was the first time I met you.
Okay. Yeah. So it worked out pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, the in-person ones are always better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the echo through the camera.
Yeah, or internet connections or anything else.
Yeah.
So it's and I'm still, as you see, I got all these cameras set up here. I'm not very good at this, but I think after 400 and
do you want that light on?
No, it looked all right. That's just in case the lighting looks good.
Yeah.
But you guys' face lit up
perfect. Yeah,
so,
you probably see the ticks crawling all over us from.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to burn my couch afterwards.
You'd probably have to burn.
I'm scared to death of them.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I was out scouting all today to get ready for the scouting camp here, and you guys were doing some scouting in the woods, and I mean, John, you had an incredible season last year. So now are you just trying to keep it rolling, or what?
I mean, I'm gonna try, but it might be a long time before I can have another one like that. But
it's pretty awesome.
It definitely lit a different type of fire. You know, I mean, I've shot deer before, but to have like that continued success in a season, I was just like, whoa, you know. Yeah. I didn't think I was even, I mean, I knew I was going to hunt this year, but we had our first child in April. So like you hear all the clamor around. It's like, oh, you got kids now, so say goodbye to hunting. And I hunted less this year than I've ever hunted before, but it just worked out. I was super blessed this year.
That's tough to beat. Well, I guess before we get into that, John, since it's been a while, a lot of new listeners here.
Yeah.
How about you give a little introduction to yourself, and then we'll go roll over to Cody.
Yeah. So like you said, we have Just Hunt Club. We do videos basically, mostly in the Northeast, New England. We're both from New York. A lot of deer content, a lot of waterfowl content, a lot of turkey content. We're just hunters. We just enjoy the outdoors. My journey kind of started, I'm getting old now, 11 years ago, as an internship out in Iowa for Midwest Whitetail. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth in the videography, editing, and everything like that. Grew up in southeastern Pennsylvania, was fortunate to have a family dairy farm in the county that I grew up in, Bucks County, which, if anybody's familiar with that, it's a suburb of
Philly.
Yeah, I mean, basically. My grandparents' farm is one of 4 left in the county. So to have that in, my back door was that's where I cut my teeth learning how to hunt. But when I learned how to hunt, it was, hey, the deer eat the corn. We feed the cows the corn. You shoot the deer. It wasn't like we'd always try to shoot like a good deer, but it wasn't like we just shot deer. We were deer hunters. But, my mom would get up super early and drop me off before she had to work. May have skipped school quite a few times to hunt. But there just wasn't ample opportunities to hunt. So when I moved out to Iowa, it was like, what is this place? And that was in 2013 after EHD really took a big toll. But it just kind of was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to do anything else. So worked out there for a couple of years and then moved back closer to family.
Who'd you work for out there?
Excuse me. Midwest Whitetail.
Okay.
So I interned out there in 2013 and then stayed for the fall, came back, went to school, and I told Bill if there's ever, I was a really big waterfowl hunter.
Yeah.
That was like my thing growing up. I was like, if there's ever an opportunity for a waterfowl series, like, just let me know. Like, I'll drop everything and I'll do it. And at that point in time, they were doing a lot of work for Cabela's. So I was in school in 2014 and he called me and was like, hey, we're going to do this series for Cabela's. It's a waterfowl series. Would you want to produce it? And I was like, I'll drop out of school tomorrow. And then I did. I dropped out of school, produced it, and then that kind of took off. And I did that until 2020. And we were doing some other work for brands in the industry. We did, I think the one that we really hung our hat on was Real Tree Sea Bucks. So we did a series based all around New England, very lifestyle based.
That was an awesome series.
Yeah, that was like the pinnacle of like editing stuff for me. But the timing of it was 2020, and that's when the world went crazy. We'll just leave it at that. And we were sitting there, and in June of 2020, all those contracts we had were zero. And I was just like, we just came off like the highest point we had, best year ever, and now we're like, whew, because everybody just closed their pocketbooks, and those contractors were the first people to get, knocked off. And that's when we decided to start Just Hunt Club. So we had the people, we knew we could do it, but we didn't have a brand. We didn't have, like, we had produced it all. We, made the connections and everything like that. And that's kind of where that started. And that's, we're going on 5 years of that now. And it's, it's a saturated market, but it's fun. I mean, we have an awesome group of guys. We're super fortunate with our group of guys.
Yeah, you have a really great group of guys.
Yeah, and we're so diverse. Like the way, and I think that's what's cool is the way that, however you want to hunt, just go hunt and have fun. But like a lot of times you see a very, I don't know what the best way to say it, path that a lot of those groups are very similar, where like we are just so diverse. So we kind of hit on a bunch of different aspects of different styles of hunting. And I think that makes it relatable to, a lot of people. Yeah. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And, I just feel super fortunate to be able to continue to do it every year.
Yeah. No, I love it because there's such a variation of content on your guys' channel. And, I mean, even when you look at, like, obviously I love deer hunting. So even in the deer hunting content space, there's anything from tracking to bow hunting to gun hunting. And I love the Northeast focus. Like, it's cool. There's not a ton of people doing it, and it's just like a different environment. Feels closer to home. Like we are in Pennsylvania. I think we're still considered Northeast here. So.
Yeah, for sure. But once you cross the line to the next state to the west, that's the Midwest.
Oh yeah, Ohio. Yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know why though. I feel like in a lot of the Northeast people I talk to in New England, like, I feel like an outcast. Like they don't think Pennsylvania is like
it's like a middle ground.
Yeah,
New England is very like, I don't know what the best way to say it. There's just
Quirky?
like that. Yes, there you go. You took the words out of my mouth. But like, yeah, it's and that was kind of like our thing was like a lot of the styles that we use, like specifically Brett, he's hunted all over the country, right? Mm-hmm. So to take those styles and bring it to the Northeast isn't super normal.
No.
And then to have success doing it is cool because, I mean, it's hard. Like, the Northeast is, we have, and when we were thinking about doing everything, it's like we have all the hunters. Not all of them, but the amount of hunters in the Northeast is huge because we have people.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's not a whole lot of content that's catered to these people.
Yeah,
and what they're seeing,
to that audience.
Yeah, and what they're seeing is very the same type of style of hunting over and over and over again. So let's show that, hey, you can chase a Midwest caliber buck in the mountains in New England or wherever, and like you don't have to track it. You don't have to shoot it with a gun. You can shoot with a bow, or you know, however you want to do it.
Or you can do it that way, yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. Go do it. Have fun, and that's kind of like
just hunt.
Just hunt. Just go out and hunt and have fun.
Just hunt, and then you're part of the club.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of just showing like, just because you're here doesn't mean you can't do stuff that they do out there here.
I love it, dude.
So,
what about you, Cody? How'd you get involved?
Well, I graduated high school in 2017, and then right after high school, I interned for John for that Cabela's waterfowl series, and then just been running around with John ever since. And
we adopted him after that year.
John adopted me. That was his first child, like you just said earlier.
Yeah.
But I've always been big into hunting and mainly waterfowl. That was my main thing growing up, and then like coming out of high school, I was helping some guides out and stuff, and they knew John from college and stuff, and John was moving up to New York from Iowa, and he needed an intern, so I jumped at that right away because, I mean, I was just hunting as much as I could then, and then, we bounced around all over the place filming waterfowl hunts, and, I mean, I always deer hunted back home. We have a cash crop farm, like, middle of the Finger Lakes in New York, and I never like managed deer. We just shot deer, like he was talking about before. Like they eat the beans, you got to kill them. And I mean, it was a lot of fun. But in the recent years, like, been really getting into trying to, you know, be a little bit better of a deer hunter. I mean, I never put much focus into it before, but
yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
When we were waterfowl hunting, I mean, it was like we'd waterfowl. We'd start in September, and we'd hunt until February.
March,
like
sometimes.
We were hunting 120 days for waterfowl, traveling the country. So like it was really hard to be focused on two things. Like you can't really be a deer hunter and be a good waterfowl. You can be good at both, but like to fixate and be really good at one, it's like pick your poison.
To excel at anything, you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be like pretty set, focused in those categories of like why I won't get into waterfowl because I know I'll probably love it,
right?
And then it takes me enough time to be a half decent deer hunter. If I throw a waterfowl in the mix and fly fishing or something like that, I know I'll enjoy. I'd be like, I'm screwed.
Well, and the best way I always say it is like when you're waterfowl hunting, like you've got 4 days dedicated to scout to find the spot you're hunting. Then you hunt it, and then you start at square one again. Then you got 4. So like with deer hunting, it's like you can scout now and pretty much find your spots that you're going to hunt in the fall, and then you hunt your spot.
Yeah.
So it's just like very time consuming.
Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah.
But it is a blast. Like it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And that I remember when I was young, the first goose hunt I went on, I was just like blown away by it. And I was like, I don't think I care about anything else besides this. So, and then you get the dogs in the mix, and it's a lot of fun, but it takes a lot of time. And as you get older, your time gets a little, you got to pick and choose what you want to do, spend your time on. So I've filtered more into deer hunting in the last 4 years probably than I ever have before. But
what about turkeys? Like, has that been something that's been your guys' passion for a while, or is it something newer?
Yeah. So when I grew up turkey hunting, I had some mentors, that would take me turkey hunting in the spring. We were never really successful. And we didn't have a lot of turkeys where I grew up. My turkey hunting was in the fall, and my grandparents' farm had this power line through. It was all thick brush. And I found out if I walk through that in the fall, I can flush turkeys and shoot them like pheasants. So like my first 4 turkeys, I would just walk through there. You know, I'm like 12, 13 years old, and, you know, a flock of turkeys would fly up, and I'd shoot my 1 turkey, and then that was it. So I didn't really get into turkey hunting until I moved to Iowa. And I was 20. I think I shot my first longbeard when I was 21. It was with Brett in New Hampshire. But Aaron Warburton, who's a turkey fanatic, we were doing a bunch of videos, and he, you know, really showed me the ropes of turkey hunting, and I was like, I really enjoy this. And now I'd say it's probably, I mean, I love it all, but like spring is something I look forward to every single year. It's just the camaraderie of it, the time of the year, the like life's coming back. I mean, upstate New York, it's like we're like winter, you know. So like once life starts coming back, it's really enjoyable. So we've been living in the cold for 6 months, but
I was kind of the same way. Like I started turkey hunting when I was 12, but I wasn't very good at it, and like didn't really have a lot of people to teach me. I had some people that took me out, but like I killed a couple jakes before we started filming, but once I started filming and we started going to like the Northeast and stuff, I learned a lot that first year filming turkey hunts. Like I was
you killed
18
your first longbeard with Brett too.
With Jake.
Oh, Jake.
With
That's
Jake
right,
in Mass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never killed a longbeard until I started filming with you guys, and then now it used to be like I liked the turkey hunt, but it was like below waterfowl and deer, and now I'd say it's right at the top.
Really?
I'd rather turkey hunt than anything else right now.
You know, and you said something about the camaraderie of it, and at least in most places, you're typically hunting in the morning.
Right.
And like if you're traveling with friends or buddies or even at home, like it gives the opportunity to have like that camp atmosphere, almost like you would have with a deer camp.
Right.
But you have more time, like you'll come back to
hang out,
cook up a late lunch or whatever, and be able to hang out. Like I know, at least here in Pennsylvania, the first half of our season is only till noon. Then after that, you can hunt all day. But for the most part, like at least we just hunt in the morning.
Right.
And
it's nice camping weather.
Yeah.
Right? So like when you're going to travel to a state, it's just like, oh, let's just get a campsite, you know, and what else are you going to do besides sleep, you know? But like,
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's because you like your deer camp is like everybody's hunting all day. Like you're going and then you come back and you have a little bit of time and you're probably drinking some beers and staying up later than you should be. But yeah, like we said with turkey, it's like we have nothing to do after noon. So like we can hang out and do that, and it's nice. And yeah, turkey hunting is definitely I think all hunting, what I've always kind of like found myself flocking to is that camaraderie aspect of it, like the people you're with and like that camp aspect of it. And I think a lot of it is too, like we film everything, so we always have somebody with us.
Yeah.
And like I enjoy the solitude of hunting by myself, but like I've just become so accustomed and enjoy like having somebody there with you and enjoying the same things together. And turkey hunting fills all those.
Another cool thing about the turkeys is like I feel maybe not confident in the fact that we're going to kill one, but we can get on one in almost any state on public land without really like waterfowl. You got to knock on doors all the time. Deer, it might take you a week or two, or maybe not even like a month to kill a deer, you know. But like turkeys, like we can travel and hit a bunch of spots and feel confident in finding birds in public land. Like,
and if you screw it up, you're upset for about 5 minutes, and then you just go find another one.
Yeah.
It's not like if you sat in a stand for a week straight, your target buck comes by and you're lowering your bow down, and you know you can't shoot them. You're gonna be pissed for a while.
100%. Yeah. You're hitting a hard spot for me there.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
and it's funny, like we here growing up is my family like primarily was deer hunting, but also was big in the turkey hunting. My grandpa specifically had he made his own turkey calls and was in Earl Mickles, I might get this wrong, but I think it's Turkey Callers of America's book, and like had this call that he had made and just loved turkey hunting.
Was he a big fall hunter or spring?
Spring. Mostly. Yeah. He'd do all the above, but like mostly it was in the spring, and and then so my dad got into it later, learning from him once he married my mom, and got into turkey hunting in the spring. And then when I was 12, it was like when we were able to hunt, I was turkey hunting right away. I think I missed 3 birds when I was 12, and they're like, listen, typically we don't get on this many turkeys, like, so don't think this is, you can just keep missing and that's just how it's gonna, and then eventually you'll kill one. Not really how it works, but then I always hunted around here, and then the population kind of got down. It was tough, and I kind of got out of it a little bit there in the last 5 years or so. Like I was kind of out of it, and then a couple years ago I started getting back into it again. And last year I did one out of state trip like probably 10 years ago in Ohio, but I wouldn't really count that. It was like a day I was out there for work, and I just went and hunted. But last year I went to West Virginia, and I was hunting with Josh and those guys, the Untamed, and I was like, man, this is
full experience.
Yeah. And like being around guys that one are much better turkey hunters than myself, but also just like really passionate about it, and just like it was an absolute blast. Yeah. Like, I need even more of that.
Yeah. We got to get you up to the Northeast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We are in the Northeast.
Yeah.
We got to get you up to New England.
Further northeast.
Further northeast.
Yeah. I know. I do want to travel more and get to experience more stuff during the spring, because it's just a different experience. I think for me, hunting in general has become more about like the place and the people that you get to, and
100%.
There's so much to it. Like even when we were at Hunt Stock last year, the New England will call culture of like, you guys are cooking up lobster and doing different stuff there. Like it's like, I've never had that before.
Yeah.
I never ate that, and just like experience. Everyone does things a little bit differently, and like being in camp with people in different places, and just going to see different things is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That camp atmosphere. I mean, and what's cool about that is like, it filters in, like we weren't hunting, right? But like that, those groups of people, when you can just put them together in a spot, no matter when it is, it's just like, it is deer camp. No matter what, if it's July, August, or deer hunting, like those, you get a group of people. And I always think the coolest thing is like when we travel and we run into people, when you're in your 20s or whatever, and or whenever you're trying to make friends, you have to like find this common ground. Like you can dump somebody into a camp atmosphere, and you just are automatically like buddies. Like you have stuff you could just talk about right off the bat. Like my wife will say like, how do you just like go like to these places? Cause I'm not like a super social person. It's like, well, I have like I just have to ask them about hunting, and we can just bullshit, and we're good. There's nothing, there's no like, hey, like, do you like the 76ers, or like, do you like sports? It's like, no, we like hunting. So let's talk about hunting. And I mean, like you have perfect example. Like we've met these people that, through random camps or whatever, and then they come out and hunt with us. We go down south. We go to Manitoba with groups of people that we've met from all over the country, and it's just like we all have this common denominator that's hunting, and it's just it's sweet. It's cool.
Yeah, like Tennessee, I met. We were hunting some public ground, and some boys from Indiana rolled up, and they were going to hunt the same like area we were, and we sat talking to them, and then they invited us to their camp. We joined their camp. There was like, I don't know, 15, 20 guys at the camp, but they were all different people that have met at different public land pieces all over the country. And now they just have a tradition every year where they meet up in different WMAs and public land pieces and all camp together. And yeah, me and Chris and Kevin all talked to them last year, and now they're all going to come out to New England this year. We're going to have a camp out there, and it's like we've known them forever, but just met them in the woods. And
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love that part of it.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you guys go to a different state or different place, and you mentioned something, Cody, about you can go anywhere and get on turkeys. What does that look like? Like, is there certain things you're looking for when you go to these places, or is it just like you're just going in relying on trying to find vantage points to call from, or like, are you looking for sign or like different habitat? Like what? I know obviously that all varies depending on the state and the terrain, the place, but is there anything in particular? It's like looks like a cool spot.
I don't really know how to answer that because, like, some places we just show up and get out of the truck and you listen. You don't hear anything and you keep moving. Or, like, you're looking at a map, and you find waterways and a bunch of drainages coming into it. And most likely you might hear a turkey back in there. I mean, it depends on where you're at. But, like, another thing with, like, the turkey hunting stuff is when you start talking to a lot of people and you meet a lot of people, you can bounce ideas off each other, and even if they don't want to drop you a pin, they can be like, don't look at that piece, maybe check out this piece. Like, communication's huge too, but the biggest thing I see from state to state is like waterways, and like where there's not just like a drainage, but like where there's always water, there's generally turkeys in the area. But I don't really know how that compares other places. But
yeah, if you nix like a lot of the southern stuff we've hunted, I think a lot of it is one, habitat. You roll into something in the Northeast and it's a giant spruce ridge.
Yeah.
You can probably nix that out. But maybe on the backside there's a bunch of beech and oak and it drops down into a creek, and you've got some southern facing slopes, east facing slopes early in the season, where birds can get that sun first thing. That's probably the stuff that's greening up first. But, I mean, we've found some turkeys and some stuff where you'd look at and be like, there ain't no way in hell a turkey's in there. And you're like, all right, well, there is. I think the thing with turkeys is just like when you're traveling, if you can give yourself a day in advance where you cannot hunt and you go and you scout, like a day before the season opens, and you just bounce and try to knock off so many different places and hit it, first light where you're getting into the one spot where you think that you're going to, like a bird, where you're getting that first gobble, right? You sit there, listen, hoot, throw out a locator call. You don't hear anything. You've got multiple pins where you can just bounce. But yeah, I mean, that's the best thing with turkeys. I mean, imagine if deer gobbled. You could, it'd be a lot easier to find them, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not just like looking around for just sign. Obviously that's important, but like they'll tell you where they are. You just have to hit those spots. I think not getting caught up in one spot too, because you think it's good, and having those multiple places to hit fast. Like, once a turkey's on the ground, he might not gobble much, but when he's on the limb, there's a pretty good chance he's going to gobble. So how many spots can I hit in this area when there's birds on the limb to catch them at that peak, time frame where they're going to gobble?
Like in North Carolina, when we were hunting some public out there, it was like me and Jake went there 2 days prior to everyone getting there just to try to scout and listen and everything. But the main thing that determined where we were going to find birds was like everything was mountain laurel, like just thick mountain laurel. So like we had to just find the open pockets of like hardwood
bowls, and yeah, most of those turkeys were all in like hardwood bowls, and we hit that at a bad time frame. A lot of it too is just like hitting the time. Like that spot, like there was a pile of turkeys there, but they did not gobble. Like I don't think we really got on many birds after Brett killed that one.
No, Brett pulled in that morning and shot one
Brett
that morning.
Drove like 14, 15 hours through the night and didn't sleep, and then shot a turkey. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, right. But
we did a lot of driving around before we found that little pocket. Like,
the other thing is too, like a lot of times you can hear them from the truck before they're getting pressured. So like, don't be afraid just to drive roads and listen instead of going, oh, that looks good. Let me hike a mile back in there to listen to this spot. Well, that's your morning. That's fun to do when you're hunting. Like if it's season and there's a spot that we're interested in that we think would be good, let's hunt our way back there and see, But like if I'm scouting or something, 95% of it is you're hearing a bird from the truck. Yeah. And usually that may lead you to one of those birds that's a mile back, but the initial bird, closer to the road is probably going to get pressured, right? But there's turkeys here. Let's build off of this.
Yeah. That's a really good point, because I think about it even like with elk hunting. All right, so you go out west, or when I go out west and elk hunting, it was like first it was like go in as deep as possible, get away from people. Sometimes you get back you spend a whole day packing into a spot, you're going to backpack hunt, and then you don't find any elk. And it's like, okay, well, I can be more efficient hitting like 5 spots, hiking in, maybe spend a half day here, half day there, a little bit different timelines, but like being more efficient and hitting spots close to the road so you're not wasting time and finding places to go to. And with what you're saying of like, especially with turkeys, it's like, yes, can they gobble, after off the limb? 100%. Obviously, they can gobble all day, but there's a limited time when you can almost guarantee that they're probably going to gobble.
Going to give you one.
Hear something.
Right.
So making the most of that time and being able to do that from a road, if you can hit 3 spots in 45 minutes, like, it's pretty good.
Right. Right. Yeah. And like I said, once you find out that there's turkeys there, then, and it might be something as simple as driving those roads and seeing hens on the side of the road. Like, it gives you, okay, there's turkeys here. Now let me try to build off of that to where, I can, if it's a pressured area where you can get back in and, find, then you can look at your map and be like, all right, there's turkeys here. Well, there is this drainage back here, and look at all these ridges that you can't hear from the road, but there's a gobbler right here. I can hunt here and, work back through those ridges and then, figure it out that way. And there's just places that are going to have, I'm not saying you're going to hear a turkey from the road everywhere you hunt, but it's definitely a good starting point.
Where you'd mentioned about like weird places that you found turkeys that you never thought they would be. Give a story of a place where you found like a turkey in a place you just wouldn't think of.
It's not really my story, but there's her buddy killed when I was saying this like giant spruce ridge. There's like not a hardwoods tree in this entire area. And once again, from the road, they struck this longbeard, and he was just in this this is like up north, in this like just wicked thick spruce patch, just on the top of it, just gobbling his head off, and he killed him in there. And it was like, just like super, super thick spruces. For me,
our PA experience was
crazy.
I mean, but the woods looked nice,
but where that longbeard was absolutely wild. We walked in and we ended up bumping a bunch of hens off the roost, which made him go crazy because now his hens are half a mile away and he's by himself because he's roosted, and we bumped them. He didn't know in the dark, so he lit it up. But that bird was coming out of a tree on a mountain laurel face, and I'm guessing he was just super pressured. And there was like probably a pocket maybe the size of your living room here, and he would just fly down into that, and he would sit there and just gobble, and you could not get to him. We almost killed him that day because he lost his hens, and we called him up, and I just couldn't get a shot at him. And we went back and we hunted that turkey for like 3 or 4 days, and like it was like, I don't know how to get to this freaking thing. Like, I mean,
like
you're
moving
like,
through mountain laurel.
like, we're not getting there.
Quiet.
And he would just sit there and gobble, just boop. It was just a little opening in mountain laurel. But
You knew where you were saying.
I can picture that. Like that, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just, turkeys are like one of those things where you're fighting with something with a brain the size of a pea and they beat you all the dang time.
Last year I was hunting a bird locally here that was frustrated the hell out of me because he was an old bird. I saw him and I was like, dude, that thing's got a rope, and I could see his freaking hooks. He's kicking up mud with his spurs, joking a little bit, but like he was a big old bird, and it was in a place that was actually was real close to a road, and people would go hunt him before work, and, and so like I was like battling kind of people to get in there. And the bird would roost in the same freaking tree every day.
Yeah.
And he'd have all his hens around him and some jakes. And he would sit on the limb until like 8:30 in the morning. And then he'd fly down into the middle of a thick clear cut with briars and everything in the middle of those hens. And, it'd shut up. And I was like, I can't kill this bird. And then like I'd get the flock would come through, but it's so thick. I'm literally in a clear cut with briars and stuff. And I'm like, is that him? Like, I'd see the head, but then I'd be like, oh, man, that's a red head. Is that Jake? And then it's like, then I'd see like, and I'm like, wait. Then I'd see him after I couldn't get a shot. I'm like, that was him. And then Jake's would have like a white head, and it was just like throwing me off, and I couldn't kill this bird. Got to the point where it was end of the season when you could hunt all day, and I was literally hunting him like a deer,
Waiting for him to come back to his tree.
getting to the spot where I thought he was going to pitch off to get
Yeah.
back to his tree, and just sitting there and waiting. And I had one opportunity, same thing, that I couldn't see his beard, and I'm like, is this the Jake or is this the long beard? Because he was just quiet coming through, and I never killed that bird. And I think he's still out there. I don't even know if I want to try again.
Yeah.
Like, it was just an absolute nightmare. And I left to go do, I don't know, I left traveling something. And my dad tried to kill him. I was like, oh, my dad will kill him. And he didn't kill him either. And I was like, all right, this bird is super smart.
He's seen it. Yeah.
And sometimes they live in such weird spots. There was a bird I killed here in 21 or 22, something like that, that there was 3 longbeards roosted in this giant clear cut, 3 big tall cherry trees in it, and they were roosted in them. And I ended up killing them in that clear cut, and it was just they'd come down to this gas well pad, and I was sitting there, and they flew right down into my lap. But like, sometimes they live in some weird places, and those are like anomalies. Like, I don't like purposely look for clear cuts to hunt turkeys, but sometimes
Right. Yeah.
they are where they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even later in the season and that thick stuff, that's where those hens and stuff are nesting. So they're going to be probably pretty close to that or in it. I mean, we've called some turkeys through some thick stuff where you're just like, we've had plenty of times where we're like, I don't know why you did that or why you're here, but I'm glad you were type stuff. I mean, we hunted a bird in Alabama that Brett killed, and we were saying the same thing. And we're like, it's got to be an old turkey. Like, he sat in the tree till 8:30, and we called to him a couple times, and he'd gobble, and then we just like shut up, and we didn't call for it was like an hour and a half, and he finally pitched down about 2 hours after legal light, and he came in, and Brett shot him. I'm like, this has got to be a big bird. And we walked up, and we're just like, nope, just your standard 2-year-old turkey, just a smart one, like, I'm not flying down until I know my ladies are here and I can see them. But that's an Alabama turkey for you too. Those
Southern turkeys are just rough.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you get them. I counted the other day. We've killed a handful of turkeys down south, Mississippi, Alabama. I think we've called 2 of them in gobbling. The rest of them were just like, oh, here they are.
I think it's just a generational pressure.
Yeah, that's the one thing we have like up here is like we didn't have turkeys for such a long time. So like we don't have that, I mean, Pennsylvania had for a while. So like our grandparents and stuff hunted them. But like once you get up into New England, like you didn't have turkeys until, I mean, I'm very likely wrong, but like say the 80s, right? So like their parents didn't turkey hunt. Like no one turkey hunted. So that culture of turkey hunting is such a new thing. And then you have all these birds that have never been hunted. So how that's going to look in 5-6 years now that like, their kids are hunting and have kids and are teaching them how to hunt it'll be really interesting. But like we didn't have a huntable population of birds. So, down south, it's like those things have been,
that's
like their thing, so those birds are just a different breed of animal.
I think they learned to be quiet because the only ones that lived were the quiet ones.
Yeah.
And it's just a generational thing.
Yeah. I mean, the South is cool, but it's not my favorite place to turkey hunt.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never spent any time down there. Have you hunted in Florida at all?
Yeah,
They
I
hunted
did last
Florida
year.
last year.
Did you?
Yeah, not southern Florida, but we were still hunting easterns.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
So we weren't hunting the Osceolas or anything. But
I was down there for the opener here last week, and I wasn't hunting turkeys, but that I was with some people that turkey hunt down there, and they were just telling me about it, and I'm like, man, this seems like a wild place. Sounds like a wild place. Like you got gators and all this stuff.
Were you in
everywhere.
South Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, where we were, there were so many venomous snakes that I didn't know what they looked like. We just had to keep an eye out.
I'm good with that. Like,
I almost stepped on a cottonmouth, and like it's crazy. Like just having to look out for that kind of stuff.
I'm not like a huge like afraid of snakes. I am extremely afraid of spiders. But like, I feel like Florida's got everything. Like, they've
yeah.
got gators, they've got venomous snakes, they've got spiders, just swamps in general. I don't have, like, give me steep mountains, give me mountain lions and bears and stuff in there, but put me
Mountain
in,
lions kind of freak me out a little bit.
they do. They're still my favorite animal because I think they're cool as hell.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they definitely do freak me out. But there's a portion of like with mountain lions, I feel like if I see one, it's probably not going to kill me. It would have probably killed me already.
Yeah.
Where like
If they kill you, you're not going to know. Like you're just
yeah,
you're done.
hopefully.
Right.
But then you get into like the waters and the alligators and spiders, and spiders have one goal, and that's to kill you. Like there's no, everyone could say, oh yeah, most spiders aren't going to hurt you. They're coming for your throat, and if you haven't died, you're lucky. But like then snakes and just, I don't know, something about swamps just freak me out. Like I don't want anything to do with them.
I don't mind snakes if I see them before. Like, if I see a snake over there, I'm like, okay, cool. But it's when you're about to step on one because they don't move. That's when you'll hear me scream like a little girl.
Well, that's what I almost stepped on that cotton.
They'll just sit
Florida.
there. Yeah.
Like we saw some turkeys from the road on some private, and it was all public, butted up to it. So I got dropped off, and I did a big loop, and Kevin kept scouting, and I was cutting through a big swamp. Well, actually, it was thicker than all get out, and the only place that was open was the swampy section where you can jump root ball to root ball, and I'm like, this is begging for a snake through here.
Yeah.
Like, I almost stepped on the cottonmouth. But they were saying that there's cottonmouths in the swamps, copperheads in the oak flats, anything that was open had prairie rattlesnakes and diamondbacks in it. So it was like, no matter where you went, there was a venomous snake to watch out for.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll shoot a turkey somewhere else.
Yeah, seriously, like that part of it. Yeah, I don't know. Snakes, even like rattlesnakes, I don't get concerned with them. I've hunted in areas, I've scouted areas that have snakes, but I don't like in the summertime when the ferns get up high, and it's like you can't see them or go through it. It's when vegetation isn't higher, and things like, okay, and rattlesnakes typically give you some sort of a warning. It's like, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. They're not actively trying to come get you.
There's areas that I deer hunt in Pennsylvania that I just don't really try to go into in the summertime.
Yeah.
I just like,
I'd be the
I
same.
feel like I'll try to get my scouting out of the way, get my cameras up ahead of time, and I'm just not going to do it.
I feel like those timber rattlesnakes don't really care about humans at all. Like they don't seem very aggressive. When we went,
They're not. No, they're not going to attack you. Like the common misconception, I learned this from hunting rattlesnakes. It gave me a whole nother respect for them. Was they're not trying to kill you like spiders will. And their goal is to get away. Like we go into these rock pits even and stuff, and you're trying to be quiet, not even stomping around because they feel those vibrations in the ground and they're trying to get out. So that, to me, I don't worry about that. It's when you can't see them and you actually step on one that you get. That's when people get bit.
Right.
Yeah, I realized the same thing when we went rattlesnake hunting. I was a little nervous going into it, and then I realized like how much they wanted to avoid you, and it was like these things aren't really that scary at all. They don't want to bite you. We had to really provoke them to strike at anything, you know. So like they just want to leave you alone and get away from you more than anything. So I'm not like the timber rattlesnakes don't bother me, but the cottonmouths and the copperheads, though,
they're mean.
They're good. Yeah, they'll try to get you.
Their goal, they have a different. Yeah, I mean, did you have much venomous snakes in the Northeast, like further northeast?
There's pockets of them, but not really. There's some spots where I know, like up towards the Adirondacks and stuff. There's spots where it's the same thing. Like you don't really want to go in there.
Really?
And like the ledgy stuff, in the summer. I know Bailey's talked about that. Like he's like, I won't go in there in the summer because they're just a lot of that stuff. You have to basically climb those ledges to get in there, and that's where they are. But I mean, it's not something I ever worry about. Where 95% of the places that I hunt, it's probably why I hunt those places though too.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of hunting in areas where there's something that could hunt me. you know? Like, even in Colorado when I was out there, I'm like, you know, like a cat in a tree, like, that's really cool. Like, those animals are way too quiet for their size. Even black bears, like, it's amazing how quiet a black bear is. Like, they're not coming after you, right? But, like, when we've hunted bears and it's just like, oh, there they are. How did we not hear this, you know, 300-pound animal with paws this big coming through, you know, a cut? You know, that's crazy to me. I don't like that. Where you got a deer with a hoof you can hear from a quarter mile away.
And then you got a squirrel that's this big that sounds like a freight train coming through the woods.
Yeah.
Black bears, I don't really get concerned much with black bears except for during the summer.
Spring.
Yeah, spring and summer. I've had in the last 5 years a couple encounters back-to-back years where I ran into mother and cubs and thick stuff and had one that the mother bear bluff charged me and was chomping her jaws and I had my pistol drawn, and I mean we were 6-7 feet away from each other, and I'm like, don't make me shoot you. Like, the cubs had run up the tree past me, which was I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. But you get in some of those thickets and you got all the leaves on, you can't see, and I scared them as much as they scared me. So it wasn't their fault, but that was the only time where I was like a little uncomfortable with them. But mountain lions definitely give you a little bit, and grizzly bears.
Have you hunted in grizzly country?
I have. I've hunted in grizzly country a little bit out west in the lower 48, and then when I was in Alaska, I did. The only time I've ever seen them was in Alaska from a couple miles away through the spotting scope, which is cool to watch them eating berries and stuff. And then one did come through camp, but I was out like a light. I didn't know it. I was sleeping, woke up in the morning, and there was, you know, bear shit outside the tent.
Do you guys set up like the fences around your camp?
No.
A lot of people do that.
I think if I hunted in like really heavy grizzly country in the lower 48, I would. Alaska, they are being hunted a lot, so they're not as aggressive as the lower 48 grizzlies. So I think I would feel more comfortable if I did something there. I have this weird thing though. If I'm with somebody, like you and I were out camping, I feel a lot more safe, even though that I probably shouldn't. Right. As far as like, not that like you're gonna wake up out of your sleep and magically be able to, you know, stop this bear from coming through the tent. Stop bear, you know, like that's not gonna happen. But I get this comfortable feeling. Being solo would be a whole nother. If I was even solo in like Alaska or something, I'd feel. Yeah, that takes another type of person.
I think solo in the woods in general is just a completely different feeling. Even when you're in a spot where you know everything's fine, it's just like I think it's just like our human nature to be like way more keened into what's going on around us as like a safety thing.
100%. We're not used to that on a normal basis.
Right.
It's like we have comfort so much around us, or you can almost like it's predictability of things where. There's so many things that are out of your control that it just heightens your senses and makes you another level. Right. I don't know. Cody, have you been in grizzly country?
Never been in grizzly country.
You want to go to grizzly country?
I will. Yeah,
Would
gladly.
You?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, I mean, they definitely make me a little nervous, but I think it'd be an experience for sure.
Yeah. And I look at statistics a lot when it comes to that stuff. It's like, all right, there's a lot of people who go out in these areas that don't get attacked. Recently, it seems like there's a lot more people that are getting attacked. But in general, that's how I looked at mountain lions. The first time I went to Colorado, I was scared to death because, like, as I said, mountain lions have been my favorite animal growing up. I'm like, I see what a house cat can do.
Yeah.
And thinking about
adding
cat
600 pounds to that.
It was just like, you look at a 12-pound cat and then you look at a 140-pound cat. It's like we're in a completely different ball game, and I get tore up from house cats when I'm messing around with them. You know what I mean? And you add that, it's another level. But you rarely hear people getting attacked by mountain lions unless you're in like California or something where.
Nobody's messing with them.
I had a buddy that went out and was looking for elk sheds, and he had a young pair of mountain lions like come after him.
I think it's the younger ones that are more of the issue.
Yeah, I guess the DNR out there said there was issues with him before, and the DNR had to go out there and kill him. But like,
Really?
he put half his mag around him, so because he didn't want to actually shoot him. But
Yeah.
he said the rest of them weren't going to be around him if they came after him again. But he had to walk backwards for a long ways to get away from him. But I guess they said the mother was probably pretty close, but the two young ones were the ones that were being the problem.
Experiencing life.
Yeah.
It's just like foxes and everything. The young ones are always what kill my chickens. It's not the old ones.
Yeah.
And like, you know.
They know better.
Yeah.
Hey, don't go by his house. He's got a 12 gauge.
Yeah, he'll miss you, but he'll scare the shit out of you for sure.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It is, and even just like the curiosity when we were in Alaska one time, we were staying in a tent, we were caribou hunting, and had an Arctic fox come up to us while we were sitting at camp. It was daylight, walk within like 4 feet of us, and just look at us like, what are these creatures?
I've never
that
seen
are out?
this thing before.
It was so. I mean, the thing was beautiful. Like to watch, I was like, this is super cool.
I mean, you see that too, even with like deer in these big woods areas. Like they'll just like, what are you? A lot of times, like when you're, way back in the Adirondacks, you think about like how many people has this thing seen in its entire life, and it gets a lot of them shot because they're like, this isn't dangerous. I don't know what this is. How can
those kind of
like how I shouldn't feel scared because I don't know what it is. I'm just more interested in what's in my home right now.
Yeah,
but like I've had that happen so many times where deer just like look at you, where like in the Midwest or like where they're getting hunted, it's like no chance, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Felt that way with squirrels today.
Yeah, man, there's some serious black squirrels where we were hunting.
Really?
And they would just sit from me to you and go like this.
Screw the deer hunt.
Black squirrels?
We're going.
All
we saw
black
one
squirrels.
gray squirrel. I got a picture of one gray squirrel on my camera. But we're going back there for squirrel hunting.
I've only found one spot in Pennsylvania that was like this. It was like this entire hillside was black squirrels, and normally I rarely ever see black squirrels.
These things are
That's
huge.
cool.
In this piece, it was just I saw probably 16 black squirrels today,
and they're all big.
And I never saw a gray squirrel.
Like we have,
That's weird.
Where I hunt in New York, like we have a decent amount of black squirrels, but they're the size of like a gray squirrel. These things are like the size of like a fox.
Yeah,
they're huge.
Fox squirrel.
Yeah.
Not a fox.
Yeah, it's a fox squirrel. Fox squirrel.
But yeah, they were big and they were everywhere, and they would just sit here from me to your deer
Yeah, you
mouth.
could have a heck of a time squirrel hunting in there.
Really?
Yeah, you come out with a 2-man limit of black squirrels.
Yeah, with a heavy. If you're doing a tournament, you'd have a pretty good pound bag there. They're big.
Is there a different law for black squirrels versus gray squirrels?
No, it's the same limit as grays.
Really?
Grays and foxes.
For some reason, I felt like that was like it was on like a pedestal of like you get one black squirrel. That is completely uneducated as me saying that. It was just
maybe there is in Pennsylvania.
You might want to look into that.
I think it's just a
Cody.
color phase of a gray squirrel or a fox squirrel.
No, I have no idea.
I might be wrong, but I feel like that's the law around it. It's another color of a gray squirrel.
They just get a lot more sunlight, so they're tanner.
Yeah, I don't know. But there was a lot of them where we were.
So many.
I didn't see one gray squirrel. I thought that was really weird. Chipmunks and black squirrels.
Interesting. And then you get in a lot of the pine areas, you got a lot more red
I
squirrels.
hate those things.
Oh yeah, they're terrible. When I get them around my house, it's like a problem because they're going to chew on wires.
Oh, we can talk about that. We can have a whole nother podcast on that. I've been at a war with red squirrels at my house for about 3 years. Yeah.
I brought my pellet gun this year, and they've kind of slowed down.
We had a
bit.
storage room, and they got in there so bad. I mean, they got into like the back corner. I was cleaning it out. My wife had like some expensive purses in there. Well, there's like some, granola bars and stuff in there. And I like start finding these giant turds. And I'm like, oh no, we got rats. And then I like start digging a little deeper. I'm like, shit, we got squirrels. We got red squirrels because we have a bunch of black walnuts right there. And they chewed a hole in the side of my house, and we're like living in this storage unit in the back corner. So I never saw it because I didn't go back there. So I went in there with spray foam. I bought a slingshot because like where they hang out like is back towards the road a little bit. So like I'm sitting out my window trying to shoot them with a slingshot. I mean, there's probably 25 of the damn things.
I mean, we've come.
And we're knocking them out, but they just like keep like moving back into these black walnuts. Yeah,
They brought that pellet gun and changed the game.
I hate red squirrels.
Yeah. I thought I heard one in my house in the wintertime and or I don't remember what time of year it was, but I was in my basement. I'm like, there's one in my floor. I'm like looking up. I'm like, all right, I gotta get a trap set. But I've had a trap set since, and I haven't
gotten them.
I haven't gotten them.
Yeah. And I hate them when you deer hunt. Like, no matter where you are, red squirrel drives you nuts because when you deer hunt, they come up the tree and then they like freak out. And you're just like, dude, just leave.
And they sit there and
go
squeal
to the next
at you.
tree and they squeal at you. And it's just like,
Well, I just found the other day, I found a bunch of sheds and some red pines, and they were all chewed to hell. And typically I don't see, I'll find sheds that are multiple years old that are barely chewed on, but that area was like
red squirrels.
Red squirrel central. And like those babies, I mean, that must have, I bet they were hanging on the deer's antlers, probably made them fall off.
Yeah,
chomping
they're crazy. Once we started shooting the ones in the black walnuts, some gray squirrels tried to come in, which whatever.
Yeah.
Have at it, gray squirrels. Red squirrels moved back in, like battle royale out there, like claiming their ground. I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't like those things. I don't like the way they look. I don't like what they do. They remind me of Ross.
Ross
from Just Hunt Club.
Oh, right,
yeah, because he's always just like,
yeah.
Every time I see a red squirrel, I think of Ross.
That's funny. Well, I know we went on a completely like left loop tangent, but like I thought I liked that conversation from predators to squirrels,
turkeys to the ultimate predator to back to red squirrels.
Yeah, it's all part of the experience of being out there. And the thing is, and like all joking aside with it, it is pretty cool to get to see all those different things. And like the spring is a cool time to be able to just see the woods wake up in a different light. There's a different feel in the air about the spring. Obviously, I love the fall, but the spring mornings when that sun cracks is like sometimes in the Northeast we get some colder. Sometimes it's around freezing temps.
Oh yeah,
and first thing in the morning, and then it'll get up to 60.
Yeah, the temperature
noon.
change is crazy. Yeah,
it's pretty cool to be able to see that. Do you think, like, from all the places you guys have traveled, do you enjoy the Northeast still the most? Like
for everything, or turkey specific?
Let's turkeys. Let's just,
100%. It's just there's just the opportunities there. You can hunt so many different states in such a short amount of time.
That's a good point.
We have to wait a while to start hunting. So that's what's nice about the other states is we can kickstart our spring. But
work out some kinks.
Yeah. If there's a place like I would pick to turkey hunt for the rest of my life, it would be definitely the Northeast.
The opportunities, just like learning how to turkey hunt, like you can get on way more birds in the Northeast than you could down south, so you can learn a lot more in a week worth of hunting versus like 2 years down south.
I think that's a big thing with us is like you have, a guy down south that may have, an opportunity to 3 opportunities a spring. Like we could potentially have that in a day, and like you talk about like the noon closer. A lot of people, different parts of the state, like Missouri, I think is like 1 p.m. Like by the time you start hunting, you really only get, I could be wrong with this, but say 5 hours of hunting. By us, like we've shot turkeys before 5 a.m. because it gets light so early, and then we can hunt. We almost get 7 hours of hunting time because of the when it gets light.
Josh told me about that. He's like,
that blew his mind.
Yeah,
he's like we gotta get up at 3:20 tomorrow. He's like, what? They're gonna be gobbling by 4:50.
That talk about wearing you out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially if you're roosting birds, because it gets dark at 9. So it's like, oh, we're up at 3 to hunt. We hunt till noon, and then by the time we get done roosting one and getting back, it's 10 o'clock at night.
The closer you get to the coast, the earlier it gets light,
first
as
place
you know.
that gets sun. Yeah.
And you get that first crack off the ocean that really lights stuff up. I mean, like in Maine, you can hunt till June. Most of the time, it's like the first week of June it ends. So like you get out then, it's like you can kill a turkey. You can legally kill a turkey at like 4:30.
Wow.
And they're gobbling an hour
crazy.
before that.
So there's some hard naps that get taken after.
Oh, you better be good at napping at that point.
That is the one thing we've noticed as we've done this a lot more is how important sleep is, especially in the spring. Because you want to get around a bunch of grumpy dudes, go up to the Northeast, hunt for 10 days, and don't nap and hang out and drink beer, and you're going to have it's going to be like the Mean Girls watering hole out there.
Be like, John, do you need to borrow toothpaste? What did you say to me?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you if you wanted some toothpaste.
Yep. Yeah. It can get like that pretty quick. We've learned how important sleep is.
Yeah, that is wild to think about with the daylight, and when you go out to roost them. And that was another thing, Josh. At least in West Virginia, they don't roost birds. Yeah. Because I was like, I remember when I was down there, I was like, we're gonna go roost, and he's like, no, Bubby. He's like, we're not going to
That's
roost
a
birds. Yeah. I was like, that's what we do. Like, I always go out and roost birds.
Yeah.
And you do that in the Northeast, though? Like, is that kind of...
We used to do it a lot more. But we got pretty good at it, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's something cool about being that close to a bird when it wakes up, and it's really enjoyable. But there's also something really cool about just, like, not waking up that early and just rolling into a spot, hearing one gobble, and run after it. Yeah. But I think it's a really cool experience. I know when Josh came up to like Vermont, and we literally watched the bird, watched the limb he flew up on, and then we hunted him. Josh missed him, believe it or not.
Josh missed?
Yeah. But like we were like 60 yards from this bird and like just watched him on the limb, all morning gobbling before he flew down. And he thought that was really cool. And it is super.
Is that on video?
Yeah. You can I'll send it to you if you want to put it in here.
Okay. I didn't know if it came out because I know you guys were releasing some of
This
that.
was the first year he came up, so 2 springs ago.
Okay.
But that was like the first time he like said he watched like that all happen.
That's cool.
Like up there, you get birds that are like way back in the timber and stuff like that. That is, a like possibility, but like a lot of our birds turkeys are going to fixate to fields and stuff. And in New England, there's a lot of really small pasture fields, stuff like that there's going to be turkeys in a lot.
And the film was a lot better if we hunted them later in the morning. Like when we were doing all those roost hunts, all of our film was like gray light, low light, and you had the turkey come in and we shoot them, and it's great. It's so much fun, but like the footage wasn't as clean as would it be at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, And
it's there's a cool aspect of just like trying to like figure it out on the fly. Like you roost one, you can kind of come up with your plan, get in there in dark, like you're fine. Like you can just waltz. I mean, that turkey could be in that tree right there, and it's pitch black. You can just walk right across the field right to, like stuff like that. So there's something cool about just that experience of like that cat and mouse and, figuring it out as you go. Kind of amps it up a little bit.
Do you find them gobbling all through the morning? Is there a time they shut off and then they kind of start back up again and get peeled off their hens?
I think it's super time of the year dependent, time of the month. Usually in New England, we don't really have that much of an issue finding one that's wants to gobble.
Yeah.
Our birds like to gobble. So like whether it's just shock gobbling or something, they're not necessarily just sitting out there gobbling at their own shadow, but you can usually strike one pretty easily.
I've killed probably, like me personally, I've killed probably over 85% of the turkeys I've shot have been after 9:30 to noon, like that window. Like we see a lull, like you get the first light, like where they're gobbling really good and they fly down and then they have to get with their hens, and then it's like later in the morning they lose their hens, so it's like that 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then the closer you get to noon, I feel like that's just the window to really get
a lot
on
of times. If we don't kill one right off the roost, we drive around for a couple hours, see if we can see one, make a move on it, or just kind of waste that time to not mess with them and risk bumping turkeys and stuff like that.
I like out of state stuff too. Like we're running around, like you may not strike a bird all morning long, but then you get to that like 10 o'clock to noon time frame, or like some states we can hunt all day, so you get that 10 to like 1:30. Like that's my, if you strike a bird in that time zone,
he's in trouble.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, I've said that here too, is if you can get one to gobble after 10 a.m., that bird's dead.
Yeah.
You're going to mess him up. Yeah.
Like that's my favorite time to kill them, because they're looking for love in
all the wrong places.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you hunt them in the mountains at all? Like I know you're talking about pastures and some of the.
Yeah, we've hunted different areas, especially in Vermont and stuff like that. That's way more rugged. Virginia's 100% mountains.
Yeah,
and we've killed birds at upper 3,000 feet elevation in places. Those are some places where you're like, I don't know why the heck you're up here, but I'm glad you are.
Yeah.
It's super cool to kill them in those areas. I like that style of hunting way more than like fields. I mean, I love shooting turkeys however the situation presents itself. Like I will have just as much fun setting up in a field with a Jake decoy and watching one come in and beat up a decoy as I will, running through the ridges. But if I could pick one, I would want to shoot one in the timber, coming through the woods without a decoy.
Last year, like traveling, like when we were hunting the bottoms in Florida and Georgia and stuff like that, like I didn't really gain the confidence until we went to like
the mountains
and hilly and Appalachia in general.
You can just move on them so much better. Like once you pin them, it's like I can leave you right there and I can make this move and I can get dang near on top of you with a terrain feature.
Yeah, because you can,
and you have to come look for me.
You can predict that better as far as where they're coming from. On flat ground, it's like don't really know where they're at.
Yeah, you got a gobbler strutting in a field. It's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to really do with you.
I'm used to the rule of like you got to get above them, and when you can't really get above them, I don't really know what to do. Like, I'm just kind of lost and just try something and see if it works, but learn from it.
If I knocked out the northeast to turkey hunt, I think my next spot to turkey hunt that would be my favorite is Virginia that I've hunted.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really enjoy like that Kentucky, like those super sharp ridges. Your legs may not enjoy them after the day, but those are cool, beautiful areas to turkey hunt.
What's fun about hunting the mountains for turkeys is you can get on vantage points and you can hear. There's spots I know that I go to listen to, whether I'm going to roost them or first thing in the morning, that I can go to one spot and I can hear 6 different points of ridges and places where I think they might be roosted at, and it's like I'm covering a lot of ground with one spot that you can hear from that vantage point versus having to move a lot. It's like anything in these couple different valleys that are coming through, I can hear from this one location.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is cool.
And then a lot of times it's like, okay, you're over there. I'm going to go back to the truck, drive up and around, and then go after you.
You're exactly right.
In Virginia, what I noticed was like when it was really steep where we could only hear them on the opposite hill face.
Yes.
If they were on the same side of you and behind like a little finger, you'd never hear them until you're on the opposite side. So every time in the morning, we'd start on one hill face and be like, they're all over there. And we get over there and try to make a move on that bird, and it's hard to hear him because he's down at the bottom in like a little drainage or something, and you hear birds back where you were.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't I hear that one? So like that's another thing, like when it's really steep and there's a lot of terrain in between you, like it can really affect the sound.
You really have to learn how. I mean, that screwed us so much in Kentucky. I mean, we would think birds are up here and they're like down here, just the way the sound's bouncing off those ridges and coming through, the roadways. I mean, we pie-faced the crap out of one. I was so mad. But we're like, he's up on that point, and we come around the corner and he's standing, strutting in the road, and we're just like, durr. Last day.
Dude.
Yeah, that was rough.
In West Virginia, I came across that a bunch hunting the steep stuff with Josh and them. I was like, we'd hear the bird pound over there. We go around the other side, and then all of a sudden we hear some that were right below where we were at,
Yeah,
but
you
we
just
didn't
could never
hear
hear
them when we were over there. It was
Yeah.
like, it was crazy to
Yeah.
me, like when you get in the super steep stuff
Yeah.
of how that sound travels and trying to pinpoint them. It can be difficult
For sure.
to figure it out.
It's a learning curve.
It is.
It's a big learning curve.
When everyone's pointing in different directions.
I
like,
love
Gobbles. Yeah.
I love the clips of all of us, and we hear a turkey gobble, and we all just go like
Yeah.
crisscross pointing, and you never know which way they come from.
Yeah, it's fun, and that's what's cool. I mean, turkeys are not as adaptable as deer, but they do live in a lot of different places and a lot of cool environments and seeing it. And I hunted Miriam's in Montana once. We were bear hunting, and my brother had a tag there, and we went out and actually went and bought a tag because a podcast listener had come up to me at the truck and was telling us, he's like, oh man, he's like, you guys hunt turkeys? You guys hunting turkeys? We're like, no, we're hunting bears. He's like, we should get a turkey tag because there's some turkeys back here. I'm like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Went back and hunted them, and it was like Miriam's are in general, it's just say there's easier to call. I have very few.
You have to travel so much more to find hens.
All we had, my brother had this box call in his Forerunner, and I just grabbed that. I was just cranking on that thing. I'm in full orange because I was bear hunting, and called that bird in, and he killed it. Like
That's
it
cool.
just came running in. It was super cool, really fun to be able to be able to do, and people, they don't really care about them as much out there. People aren't really hunting turkeys like they are in the East. So
That's on our bucket list. It's just so far. It's like
it is.
We
I
talk
wanna
about it
go back
every
out
year, and
there.
it's like, man, if I go back out there, I want to be out there for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And just hit it all because it's such a far drive.
I know, dude. I had so much, not to change that subject, but I had so much fun bear hunting in the spring out there. I did it 1 year and I killed a bear, and on the last day or second to last day, but I had so much fun being out there in the spring, both bear hunting and turkey hunting. I could do it in the same area.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to go back. I was like, after that trip, I was like, I'm going to go out there every year, and I haven't.
Yeah.
But it's just because it's the travel and the time.
That's the hardest thing with being on the
it.
East Coast. It's like, man, to get to those spot places, it's just like, oh.
We are lucky though of having so much, and I even, and I've said this. I mean, anyone that's listened to the podcast long enough is like, yeah, Beau, you've been talking about how you've never been to like the far Northeast for 5 years now, and I have never been north of New York.
We can change that.
Yeah.
I need to do that. Like even just this, to see it and see what Vermont looks like, see what New Hampshire looks like, see what Maine looks like, and just and this isn't an attempt to like blow up these spots or anything. It's just like I want to see places and cool spots throughout the U.S. and I think the Northeast is sweet.
Yeah, I'm pulling my phone out here. I'll send you this photo too because it's one I use all the time to just like showcase that we have some pretty dang cool stuff out this way. And I show this picture to people when I meet them, and we talk about turkey hunting and stuff, and just say, guess where this is? And to this day, nobody has gotten it right. It may take me a minute.
Yeah, there's so many places, and like I've come to, and I've talked about this on a recent podcast I did about elk hunting and how elk hunting is becoming more difficult to be able to do, and it's hard to get tags and everything. And when you think about it, a lot of times you're elk hunting. Let's see this. Dang, that is a beautiful photo. You have to send me. I'll put it in here for people
just
that
like,
are watching.
where do you think that is?
That's New Hampshire.
No, I mean it's New England. It's Vermont.
Oh my
But it's just
gosh.
like, people think of the East Coast and they think of cities and people and stuff like that. And it's like, no, you can go do that.
Yeah,
like,
have
that's
adventure.
cool. Like, I mean, you could have a bull elk in that photo.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looks like. Or I mean, obviously it wouldn't be that green, but it's just like, like it's like it's here.
Yeah.
You just have to find that adventure and like bring that into it.
And like I in the early years of the podcast, I used to always ask people, how do you define adventure? That was a thing that I would do. But there's so much opportunity without having to go out west. Or, I mean, you can look, there's so many places. I mean, even in Pennsylvania, there's so many places I haven't been to that are like cool experiences to go to do. The problem I have with Pennsylvania is you only get, say one tag in certain, or turkeys you can get 2 tags, but there's limited experience, and typically like spending time in certain areas that I know, but other states gives me that opportunity of like just completely going to and just seeing it. And you can do anything from backpack hunting. You can set up a wall tent with buddies. You can sleep in your truck. You can get an Airbnb. You can get a 5-star hotel, whatever you want to do. But there's that opportunity to have all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
We're pretty lucky to be able to, to have that. Yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, you look at like peaks and stuff. I mean, obviously our peaks are way lower because of our elevation, but it's like you get into some of that stuff in the Adirondacks and it's like, it's serious. Like it's comparable to a lot of stuff out west. I mean, I haven't experienced the west like you have, but I know when I went to Colorado the first time, it was super, super cool. But I was also, it kind of like gave me a perspective of how cool stuff is out here too. Like we have similar stuff. It's just different, you know?
I think a lot of times it's how you make an experience or how you decide you want to make an experience and how you want to see it and your perspective on it. Because every place is cool in its own respects. Like we were just kind of talking shit on the swamps, but it's like they have a really cool
ecosystem and like what lives in that is crazy.
Yeah, even though I don't really want to mess with a lot of what lives in it, but it's super cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm fascinated by that. I think it's really cool to be able to see all that stuff and be able to do it. So I guess I'm gonna have to come to the Northeast. And
you are in the Northeast.
Yes, but the actual I gotta say New England, not
New
North.
England.
New England. More and see that a little bit.
Should come up and deer hunt up there for a week or so.
That would be fun.
I mean, kind of. It might be.
It'll
be fun.
The problem, here's the problem is with doing like a Northeast tour per se or going on. It's so hard of hunting that you need to spend weeks in places to potentially have success.
Not all the time.
I
got super. You can get very lucky.
Well, let's hear it.
You just roll up in a mountain and shoot a really nice buck. I mean, that was just like stupid luck, but I'm glad.
Your PA one?
No, New York. I'm sorry, New Hampshire. Buck I shot in New Hampshire. That was the first day I ever deer hunted in New Hampshire.
That giant?
Yeah.
So tell that story.
That was 2022. I think it was 22 or 21. The hunting by me in New York was just terrible. So Brett's like, we're doing rut camp. Like, just come up. Like, here's a mountain. I ran cameras on it. There's, some good bucks up there. But, like, it's first year. We're not really hunting up there at all. Like, perfect. We might get some tracking snow. So Jake and I were like, screw it. Let's go out there. We went out there, ran up in there. And he had, like, he didn't have any cells up there. It was all just regular cameras. And we scouted around and kind of came up with a plan to hunt the next couple days. They were calling for snow the next day, and we pulled a bunch of cameras and like zipped through the pictures really fast. Never really dove into them. And we were at a restaurant eating dinner, and Brett's sitting there going through, and he just all of a sudden he just goes, "Whoa!" And he's like, shows me, and he's like, "You're gonna kill that buck tomorrow." I'm like, dude, that thing was here like October 15th. It's November 14th or something. Like, a guy like me doesn't kill a deer like that. Like so we did find like a really good bunch of fresh buck sign. It was basically this big cut that came into a drain, bunch of hardwoods, sprucey tops, and like there was a bunch of fresh buck sign there. So that was like our spot that we were going to start. But we kept looking at the forecast, and all that snow was like more rain. So we packed all of our stuff. We were just going to sit there for the day because of the amount of buck sign. So Jake and I have like our saddles. I mean, we've got stuff to cook lunch. Like, we're going up. It's like a hike up into this mountain. And we park down at the bottom, and it's all just like slushy, nasty, rainy stuff. And we're like going up. And it's like a little more snow, a little more snow, a little more snow. and we're like almost to the spot, and it's like, this is tracking snow for sure. But now we're like loaded down to sit all day. So I'm like, all right, let's get to the spot that we want to go. We're going to drop all of our stuff, and like, we're going to go track because that's our best opportunity for the conditions we have. It's like, this is where we want to sit anyway. Worst case scenario, we have to walk another 1.5 miles up the mountain and get our stuff at dark if we take one. Because, I mean, who knows where he's going to take you. I was like, this is where we want to be anyway. So I'm like, let's just get our packs rearranged. And I drop my pack, and it's like literally 10 seconds. And I look down in that drainage that we were going to set up on, and that buck is just cruising through the drain. And I'm just like, Jake, big buck, boom, shot him. That was that. And I called Brett. I was like, dude, I killed that buck. He's like, F you. No, you didn't. I'm like, no, dude, I killed it. I called Ross. He's like, are you okay? It's like first light. Like, I mean, like just sun just like came up over the mountain. Ross was like, okay, are you okay? Did you shoot yourself? Like, what happened? Why are you calling me this early? I'm like, I killed a freaking giant buck. He's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, no, I did. And yeah, it was that buck. He was 160 inch buck.
Oh.
And he was the crazy thing was he was only 4.5.
Really?
Yeah. That deer, the genetics in that deer was absolutely crazy. And yeah, it was wild.
In a state where there's no deer.
Like, they've hunted there for so long, and I killed the biggest buck out of everybody in our group in 4 hours. So until this year, I always said, I was like, I'm never hunting new deer in New Hampshire again, because I want to go to my grave saying New Hampshire was the easiest state I ever deer hunted. And then I tracked a buck up there this year, and he took us for an absolute rodeo. I mean, we tracked this buck like 7 miles, and he just like kept going in December. So I got my payback. But yeah, it was
You ended
cool.
up killing it, didn't you?
No, I didn't kill
Oh, you
it.
didn't kill? Okay, I just thought you killed everywhere you went this year or last year.
No. Yeah, it was super cool, and it goes back to the camp thing. It was like rut camp. So now, Brett's planning to sit for a week and like is hunting a giant buck, and he's like, screw this, I'm getting out of the stand. Like, we're all coming, everybody came up the mountain, and we all drug him out. It was just like probably the coolest experience of my life. Yeah. And like, I went into that saying, I told Brett, I was like, do not put me somewhere that you don't want something to get shot, because the first thing that comes by me that has a tine, like, I'm going to shoot it, because like, I'm just here to have fun.
Yeah.
I'm not like being serious at all about this. And that was the first deer I ever saw hunting in New Hampshire. But that's what's cool. Like, that stuff can happen to people. Like, it's like, it can happen. And you just have to be out there and like, I don't know. Yeah, it was super cool.
Dude, that's so awesome.
But it was so funny just hearing their reactions. They're like,
no, I can see Brett too. Brett.
It kind of looked like the buck that Brett was hunting. So like, when we put it up, they're like, oh my God, John shot this buck out from under Brett.
In your long johns.
Yeah, I was in my base layers. Black base layers, orange cap, just sweating. I was mad because I got lost going up in there. And I was like, we're loaded down, planning to sit all day.
Hey, that's when things happen a lot of times.
Yeah, and I was just fortunate enough to be able to, I mean, there was absolutely no skill involved in that besides just walking up the mountain, and being there at the right time and right place. Like, I didn't do any work for that deer.
I mean, your way up in there.
Yeah, and I executed the shot, you know, but like, it's just like, that's, that can happen.
It can happen. And
it doesn't.
I love when it does.
Happen, but like, it can happen,
Yeah. Dude, that is so awesome. And you can watch that over on Just Hunt Club.
Yeah. You'll hear some Elmo screeching after.
Oh, I've watched it. I love that video.
Yeah.
And I feel like I watched your New York one. That's up on from last year, right? Yep. That's up, or the other one's up on? I haven't watched the PA one yet.
Yep. Yeah, that one's up, and then my New York rifle buck's up. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you shot 3 bucks last year, and for the sake of time, we're not going to go into those on this one, but I'm going to tell everyone please go over on Just Hunt Club's YouTube channel, watch those stories of it. See, I watched the New York one and absolutely loved it. Now I got to watch the other two.
Cody was with me on that one.
Oh,
Cody filmed me.
Is that why everything was out of focus?
Just come on, Cody.
That was a sweet hunt.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Well, actually, let's talk about that one because you brought it up
okay.
there because I that one was really sweet.
That was the first deer that I like had history with and like hunted and like really zoned into like hunting a specific deer. 'Cause a lot of the times I have a deer I would like to kill, but I'm not specifically like targeting them. I'm just kind of like trying to put myself in a place that I feel like I have the best opportunity at a good buck. Mm-hmm. That deer we hunted pretty hard the year before, and I was just always kind of like one step behind him. And I knew he made it, and he was like the first buck I got pictures of this past season. And it was just, most of it is just like having the history with the area and knowing kind of how it works and like finding this spot. So like this spot was like I've talked to you about, like we have a lot of monotonous stuff, and like I seem to find these little habitat changes, and whether they're a quarter acre or an acre, like in that monotonous timber, like you're gonna have deer in there. Mm-hmm. And that spot had an apple tree, and it hadn't had apples on it for years, but it was loaded this year. And it was just like, when I was hunting him before, he was just kind of moving through there, and he'd be in there at like 10 in the morning in October, and everyone's like, how do you not kill that deer? I'm like, he's there because I can't kill it. Like the thermals, like I just can't kill him there, like at that time, because he's just all over there. Well, this kind of set up as a position where he was coming to a specific spot for a specific reason, almost like a scrape. And he was eating it up, and then I had a bear come in and rip my camera off like 2 weeks before season. So I was just like, whatever, like he's there, like he's probably going to be there. He's in that area. And we went up in there opening day, and it was a super, super cool hunt. Got up in there. I've never had a hunt where I was like so tense and like just like, but also confident. Like this could really happen. Like I sent Brett a video. I like panned and I just went like that, like where I'm gonna shoot him, and I like shot him like right there.
Really?
Yeah. And it was like we got up in there, hung the saddles, and it was early too. I shot him like an hour before sunset, and we could hear a buck making a scrape up above us, which I had scouted that after season and kind of pinpointed that's where he's bedding. Mm-hmm. And Cody saw there's another really nice buck with him, saw him first, and he kind of split off, and I was watching that buck, but I could hear this other one right here, and like I was just like, this is him. Like I didn't see him at all, but I'm like, this has got to be him. And the first time I saw him, he was like 20 yards. And he was just like coming through, or I shot him at like 12 yards.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He just marched right in your
Yeah,
lap.
he just like walked right. I mean, just like if you could write up like how you plan it in your mind and like a picture perfect hunt, like this is what I want him to do, is like he just walked the red carpet right there. And never had to stop him. He just stopped and like kind of like before he got into like the open, it's not really open, but like he was just kind of like looking at that apple tree. He stopped 12 yards, and I shot him, and he freaking dropped right there, and I proceeded to keep shooting him. But yeah, that was one that I had like the confidence that we were going to get on that buck and have an opportunity at him in October, but I was not like, I knew there was a chance that would happen in October 1st, but to shoot an opening day buck is like, that's like your dream, man. Like it's just like, oh.
And then you did it again.
I did it again with a rifle, yeah.
But in New York as well.
Yeah. And that was the second buck I had history with, so that was pretty cool. I never really, like I said, I've never shot deer that I had history with. It was just like, usually they disappear, or I miss them, or I just never see them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pinnacle of, I'd say, it really lit a fire of like trying to figure that stuff out more. And I mean, that was my first New York buck. I've lived there for 5 years.
Really?
That was, yeah. It's not the first one I shot at.
Yeah.
I missed about 4 of them, a couple very close to that, but
that is very real. I understand that.
So, but it was, I had a really good season, and I might not have another season like that for the rest of my life, but it comes around, if you're out there enough and just keep going at it, like eventually something is going to go your way.
Each day that passes is closer to another time where you get an experience like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. This year was definitely I'm very fortunate to be able to do what we do, and I definitely don't take it for granted. But like I said, my PA buck is my favorite place. Like Pennsylvania is my favorite place I've ever hunted in my entire life. I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Where I grew up was like not like this. You know, you're hunting deer that are eating on people's ornamental shrubs and stuff. That's how it is. And there's big deer, but it's very small. You don't have an adventure out there that's like the experience like we talked about. That was the experience.
Dude, that's awesome. And hopefully, it sounds like you're going to be back again in PA this year. Yeah. Because you're doing some scouting. So
what did I say on the way here? There's one. I'm trying to set it up where, like, if I don't kill a deer in October in New York, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna move on. Yeah. Because just like I just like between here and like I hunted Ohio this year and had a lot of really good experiences out there and came really close to some great bucks, and it's just like I want to do that. I can hunt New York when I'm home. Yeah. But I also find when I stick to New York because I'm home is I have so many other things that are pulling me away from the woods because I could be doing work. Focused, where like my focus isn't there. When I'm out here, like I'm out here for a reason. When I'm in Ohio, I'm there for a reason. Yeah. I have a hard time, deciphering that when I'm close to home and I'm like, oh, well, I do have all this work I could be doing, so I'm only going to hunt till 10. Yep. Where it's like I'm in Ohio, like we're sitting in a tree all day, stuff like that.
I'll tell you, like when I started working for myself, I learned where I struggled a lot more. Where I used to be able to hunt after work or do things. When I started working for myself, I struggled with that cutoff on time and being able to like shift gears because you're like you get into something and also it's you're not working, you're not making money, so you get in this. It's a different world where like when I was at my 9 to 5, it was like really I was done at 4 o'clock. But it was like 4 o'clock ended. I didn't think about work until the next day when I had to walk into the office again. So it was a different different. And I feel
like focus is so important in that stuff. Like if you're not in it, like you're just gonna screw up.
Yeah, with deer hunting, I have trouble. I mean, I have trouble with work and deer hunting, really anything in my life. If I can't focus with it, I'm not good at multitasking. Right. I need focus. Like I'm bad with, even like with text messages and stuff. Like if I'm not into like having that conversation with somebody at that moment, sometimes it takes a week or two for me to get back because I'm on to something else and I'm focused on that thing and I just struggle with it. And so I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah. And like I said, I understand where not everyone has the opportunity to be able to go and shift their schedules around, but there is a blessing to that in the side of when you're working for somebody else. At least for me, I was able to shut it off a lot easier.
Yeah. Then you could leave it at work.
Leave it at work.
Yeah. Or like when you have your vacation time. Yeah. Like that's your time. Like that's your time. Yeah.
I was a person that was like, you go on vacation, you don't look at your email, you don't look at anything. I was just in Florida. I'm supposed to be on vacation. It was like I was up in the morning.
Checking.
I'm like on my computer. I can do things for a couple hours. Yeah. Or like I think something's like bigger than it is. And like for some reason when I was at my normal job, I could push those things away and not refer back to them at all. It is kind of weird.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse.
It is. And I
mean, having your office at your house, even on like weekends and stuff, like when I have my daughter, it's just like, well, it's right there. She's napping. Like I could slide in there for 2 hours, stuff like that. And it's at your fingertips. So like you're urge to go do something is way stronger than like if you just leave an office.
Oh, when I'm home for a period of time, and I know usually when I'm home, it's like I know I need to do computer work, I need to be editing, I need to be doing stuff. So my truck doesn't, my gas tank doesn't go down much at all. I don't leave other than to go to the gym.
Oh yeah,
and that's really about it. So it's pretty wild of how that works.
Yeah.
Like there's times when I'll look at my step counter and I'm like,
oh, I didn't move today.
I'm like, I've done 900 steps to this 2 o'clock. Like I need to move or do something. Like it takes a conscious effort to
For sure.
to be able to do that. But
it's awesome.
It is. It is. And I'm that is not complaining at all.
Yeah.
It's just it's a different environment. It
Right.
takes it's different levels of discipline too of when you're working at home of like, there's things even around the house. Like I'll go to the bathroom, I look and I'm like, oh, there's some mail on the counter. I should probably go through that. I need to, and then all of a sudden I'm doing this.
Neglect stuff.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's dishes in the sink. I should probably do those. And it's like, next thing you know, 45 minutes goes by. It's like,
I hear you on that.
But
I struggle with that.
Well, I think we'll
Cody
end this year.
us.
Cody left us. He said he's done. He said he's done with his podcast. He's done with us.
He's setting his tent up in your backyard.
Yeah. He's taking off. Cody's done. But no, I appreciate you guys coming down and doing this. And
I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it did. It was funny. So yeah, for anyone listening, I texted John there, and like I said, he just happened to be in the area, so it worked out super well. And you're gonna be doing some filming with Steve Shirk tomorrow, which is cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Check out Just Hunt Club on YouTube. Excuse me, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere else that people should follow along.
I mean, we did start a podcast. It's not as good as yours, but
I apologize.
We're trying.
Yes.
Yeah. It's Just Hunt Podcast. Just Hunt Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. So it's a new venture we're toying with, and we're learning about it, and it's fun. So we need to get you on there at some point.
Yeah,
maybe that's your excuse to come up to New England. You can drive 10 hours to go sit and talk to Brett for a couple hours in his basement.
I don't really want to talk to Brett. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, we definitely got to plan something to either turkey season or something to get you up there.
I would love to, man. That would be an absolute blast. At least Cody decided to join us again.
Sorry.
You have to pee.
Oh yeah.
Pretty bad.
I wasn't sure how much longer this was gonna go, so I just slip out quick.
I can't wait to go back and watch it while I'm editing it and seeing like you squirm for probably 10 minutes beforehand.
I was squirming for a minute.
Well, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you,
and greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks everyone for listening. If you liked the episode, make sure that you subscribe, like, comment. What else am I supposed to tell people to do?
Buy your merch.
I don't say that enough. Like hats, shirts, all that stuff.
The real Make Deer Hunting Deer Camp.
You're making me mess it up. Make Deer Camp great again.
Yeah.
If you see that anywhere else, that is not me. That is someone that is stealing my stuff. So Make Deer Camp great again. Only available at eastmeetswesthunt.com. Thanks everyone for listening. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, share it with your buddies. Leave us a rating, a review, and subscribe. If you want to check out more content like this, there's plenty in the links below. We truly appreciate having you guys along with us.